Brian, you're going to welcome us back.
Liam, welcome back to the show,
It's been quite a few weeks.
to say the least.
It's been a hectic few weeks.
It has. I don't know where we even start. I mean, the last podcast we put up was 5 weeks ago. Ideally, we were supposed to do 2 before we both went away traveling. And then laptop decided to call it quits.
Yeah, before we get in anywhere, I'm apologising for me being blocked up today. Guys, no, I can remember when we recorded our intro, you were all stuffed up and it haunts you still to this day.
That was actually like a week before Christmas, a week before I was flying.
So if I have to do any sniffling, I'll just move away.
That's it, because I do not have the facilities to edit this out. Yeah, man, it's been a while. It's kind of frustrating because it's the only period of time where I haven't been able to get a podcast up since August consistently.
If we were just traveling, it would have been fine. We would have made that work. The MacBook shit in the togs didn't help.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently, shops can't fix a broken MacBook. It took them 3 weeks. Anyways, I don't want to get
whatever dodgy stuff you're up to at your Mac.
I don't want to get annoyed at the start of the podcast. Man, yeah, what else has happened?
If no one knew, Brian ran a marathon.
I ran a marathon, I did indeed, in Prague. You went home.
I went home. I had my sister's wedding. Yeah, between one thing and another, it's been hectic.
And then I left real estate.
Dun, dun, dun.
I didn't leave real estate. I left being an agent. For those that are close around me, understand, and they're aware, and those who are at the wrong club are fully aware that I've left my old company, left being an agent, and I joined a new company.
The successful results, I would say, of about 2 months of just self-deliberation, that'd be the word, and it's probing.
Weird because, I mean, if you're listening to the podcast, you probably could tell that it was coming. Yeah. Like, I mean, like we spoke about the fact that, you know, I was questioning what I was going through, questioning what I was doing, questioning kind of where I was just from having a step back from what was going on. And I was just on a podcast with Mark and Paddy, and they were asking me kind of, how do you get to a period of taking a step back from the painting? Like, how does that happen? Like, walk them through kind of how you get the opportunity to take a step back and kind of look at, okay, maybe I'm not in the situation that I'm in, like I should be, or taking stock of what's going on. And the answer that I gave them was that by having some sort of self-reflection, like some sort of practice, but also having people around you that can spot, like spotters that can spot like kind of what's going on, and they're in a situation and you've created a comfortable environment that they can actually voice those concerns to you. So like without you, I wouldn't have been able to make this change or have those realizations that a change was necessary. And plus also from the fact that I'm able to take stock of how I'm feeling, plus kind of tell the landscape and then see what I'm feeling like. The speed in that decision was quite fast, to be honest.
I don't know if it was, bro. The speeding when you pull the trigger was fast, but the amount of time and thinking that went in beforehand, like,
I don't know, like I mean, a length of time, fast and slow, is kind of dependent on the person. Like, I mean, for some people it could take them months.
Yeah, true.
And some people probably suggest taking months to make big decisions, but
do you not think it technically did take months? Do you know what I mean?
It only became conscious like 3 or 4 weeks prior to making the decision.
True. Yeah, a month.
Yes.
But that's it, I suppose, and I would say that's a better thing because, okay, you saw, as you said, the landscape, you saw what you needed to change, and you didn't sit and ponder and think about it for too much where you talked yourself out of it. You're like, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what needs to be done, let's go and do it.
And taking the action, the speed in which you take action after thinking through a thought.
And I think especially in Dubai, it's going to happen quicker, especially in real estate. Like if that was back home, you thought, right, okay, I'm going to start looking for a new job. It could be 2 or 3 months by the time you get one.
Yeah.
Here it's like, next week.
Literally, like you reach out to a recruiter, they reach out to you, next day you're in for an interview and an offer is made in the same day. But yeah, like at the moment, for everybody who's unaware, I'm now in a new position as leasing manager with a new company. which has been set up less than a year, but they've just brought on a few people that are interested in a few big kind of names within different industries or within different real estate
Brian
companies.
Flanagan, one of those, is it?
No, some other people who have been in big companies for a long time. And the CEO is really, really nice guy.
If I was a CEO though, and I was hiring you, I would see you as an interesting prospect to have on board. Like, absolutely.
Yeah. So the way they framed it was like they're just trying to hire the right people and then build whatever isn't necessary around those people. Like all their agents were leasing and sales before I came in, and I told them that I'm best suited to leasing manager. That's my domain of competence. And whilst I have been a sales agent,
Domain of competence, I like
domain
it.
of competence. Whilst I have done sales, like it's not necessarily the thing that I'm the best to be able to help people with.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But anyways, they changed the company structure that there's going to be a team of agents doing leasing and then the rest doing sales and leasing. So that was a tough conversation to be had.
Smart move that though, even like completely ego aside, like it's like I'm not comfortable enough in my skill set to teach people on sales, like, and I know that. I'm not going to come in here and pretend I am. Do you know, because so many people in the industry would even like, oh yeah, leasing and sales manager, I can do that. Like, but even that book I'm reading at the moment, Ego is the Enemy, speaks so much about that. Like, there's a case study on it about like that whole like leading with what you're comfortable with, not taking that promotion until you feel you actually can't do the job, like, instead of just taking it because the extra money or the extra whatever. Like, you went in there and was like, you know what, like, this is what I know I can do, so let me go and do that. Like,
even still though, like, I mean, the recruiter turned to me at the interview and was like, why do you think you're going to be a good leasing manager? I was like,
sorry?
I was like, I never said I was going to be a good leasing manager. And she was shocked. Like, she was like, oh, that wasn't the answer. I was
flicking through pages.
I was just like, I have no confidence. Like, how am I supposed to know if I'm going to be a good leasing manager? Everybody who starts a new role for the first time isn't sure if they're going to be good or not. I'm confident in my abilities to give it all that it takes to literally keep going until I make it work. And I have confidence in my ability as an agent. So yes, I'm confident that I will be able to do a good job, but I have no proof to show me that I will be a good leasing manager.
Big swinging dick answer.
Flip it on its head. If it's on its head.
What do you think of that? Huh?
Love a good interview. Yeah. I fucking love a good interview. But it was a good interview, and I got good vibes about the company, good vibes from the CEO, good vibes from the head of brokerage. And yeah, man, the way that I looked at it. So the reason that I left being an agent, multifaceted, but the main was that I felt stagnant. I felt like I wasn't learning a lot, and there was not much more I could learn from other people. Now, that's not me saying that I know everything. And I think I thought that I would learn a lot from being a sales agent, from going from leasing, but the speed in which I found out what I needed to know without there being much more for me to understand.
It's not the same as starting again. Like, it's not that climb.
And also, they brought in a guy from a different company, and he said that he'd gotten so comfortable in the other company that he could come and go as he pleased. He could take holidays when he wanted. He had a really good relationship with the managers, and that he was kind of the guy.
It's interesting. That for most people, that would be like, that's why I'm staying.
And he was like that the reason that I left and joined this company is because I now have a point to prove. Nobody knows me, and I have to start fresh. And it's just ignited another drive inside him. Yeah. And I was like, that's actually so fair. That's obviously, we were in I was in a very comfortable situation, really good relationship with Dean. I'd proven my name, proven my point, and there wasn't enough progression for me within the company. Like, I mean, I tried to get them to create a role. It didn't really make sense. Plus, I think even if they did, it would make most sense for me to go, because that first week as being a leasing manager, I was just like, oh, this feels like the start.
Challenge again. Like,
yeah, this feels like my first week in real estate. And it was terrifying. Like, the night before, man, it was terrifying. And like, I had a serious amount of anxiety the night before.
You were sitting here just like itching.
Yeah, man. I was sitting here and I was just like, oh, I feel sick in my stomach. Like, I get a really kind of physical manifestation of anxiety, like where I get sick in my stomach.
Did you feel that before your marathon? Was it the same feeling?
No, not really, man. That was more a feeling of impending doom than anything.
Oh shit, here we go again.
But this was the fear of uncertainty, And then as I became anxious and started being like overthinking, I was just like, what if I fail? What if I don't do a good job? Like I'm a fraud. Like why are they hiring me? Like I'm not going to be that good. And I was writing this stuff like in my head. It's accumulated and snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to put it down on paper. Wrote out all my fears. Like I was just like, I feel like I'm going to be a failure. That I'm a fraud. That they shouldn't have hired me. Like all this stuff. Like. And as I was writing it out, I was just invalidating everything that I wrote out. And I was just like, well, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, when you could slow it down, like.
Yeah. And once it's out on paper, your eyes have your brain is a second time to interpret that, because it's interpreting as outside information. And then you're processing it, and then you're just writing like you're literally just writing through it.
What idiot wrote all this shit?
Yeah, honestly. And I was just like, I wasn't just saying like or thinking the counterfactual. Like in my head I was writing it as like I was making an argument against the previous stuff. And then I asked a few people for advice and stuff like that, and they were just kind of saying the same sort of stuff, and I was just writing about it as they were saying it. And
so you obviously felt that imposter syndrome coming until you reverted back to like, okay, these are the facts. Like,
yeah. And then the speed in which that I got over it, like I just walked out of the room. I was like, right, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, fine.
Fine. And then like, it's all the classic stuff that I suppose we spoke about, like that imposter syndrome. But that is a symptom of the fact that you're going in the right direction. It's evidence that you're going outside of your comfort zone. And it's funny, even though I think a few weeks previously, I'd spoke about that imposter syndrome and then linking it to something that you've done in the past to show that you're capable of doing something like this. Even though I spoke about it, even though I understand if you came to me with these problems, the advice that I would give you,
it's not that easy to give it to yourself. Like,
it's not that easy to take. And even though you might be able to think and speak and say, this is the way you should deal with that, I mean, we're still human at the end of the day, and I experience the same problems.
Yeah, like I can remember you coming in here just being like, I need to take some of the advice I'm giving out. Like,
yeah,
you know, but it is easier to obviously dish it out because you're not the one telling yourself these things, you know, and then you're just trying to contradict yourself. But I think even the fact you knew, okay, I need to write it down, and once you got it down, you're like, oh, problem fixed. Like, just knowing to do that is great. Like,
yeah, so that's a hack for anybody who's listening. Like, I mean, if you're starting something new, if you've got that fear of whatever, and then actually Mark and Paddy were asking me about that decision as well, and like making the decision to moving over to Dubai or whatever. Some people would think that's big, and I was thinking about making this move as well into a new role. And what I told them was like what you always say about it doesn't really matter what decision that you make. Like,
in what sense?
Well, you're the one who says it.
I know, but I don't know which one. I dish out a lot of knowledgeable stuff.
That regardless of the decision that you make, if you view it as what I learned from it, it's never going to be wrong or right. It's going to always be.
There'll be a takeaway. Like,
yeah, it's like regardless if I make this decision in 6 months' time, if I'm like, okay, this was potentially like the wrong decision, I maybe could have done something else. Regardless, it's what I've learned from this 6 months. It's that knowledge, that information, the knowledge that I've learned. Nobody can take that away from me.
I think a lot too, like, so you make a decision based on where you are at that moment. Like, it's either yes or no, like one or the other. I think if you just keep taking the decisions that you feel are right to take, you'll end up where you're supposed to be. Like, if you take the decision 6 months down the road, you're like, okay, that was the wrong decision. It's like, well, you didn't know that back then. Do you know what I mean? This was always going to be the way it was going to go. Always, because that's the decision. If you're back there in your shoes again, you're going to choose the same decision again. And now you're here with this progression over the last 6 months. We might open an avenue for you that wasn't open when you had to make that decision, you know? So that'll open the doors for making the right decision going forward, whereas you wouldn't have been able to do it 6 months ago if you never made this decision.
I remember, as you're saying that, when people asked me when I was doing psychology, oh, do you like psychology? And I'd be like, at the start, I used to be like, oh, if I went back, I would choose something different. And then I thought about that being like, no, if I went back, I would have chose the same thing,
Yeah.
like 100% of the time
But if you were to do it again,
with the information that I know now.
yeah.
But
You
that
will never have, like...
yeah, exactly. Exactly. You made the decision based off the information that you had at that time. And that is the only choice you would have ever made in that scenario, because that was the information that you had at hand.
Is your whole theory of, if I grew up in your household with the exact same external factors, that I would make the exact same decisions as you made?
Yeah, if you grew up in Hitler's household, you'd be Hitler.
You're gonna have to explain that. No, I'm not even getting into the rabbit hole.
Don't get into it. But
basically, like, yeah, it's your everything's your product, your environment, really. Like,
but speaking about that decision making, I spoke to Mark about, when we were in Prague for the marathon, about signs. And like signs that makes you feel like you're choosing the right decision. Oh, yeah. What is your opinion on this? Because remember that time that, like, it doesn't matter if this is like factual or not. So the time that I went for the interview, I had just done the North Star exercise with Mark, and we spoke about the podcast about the North Star exercise. I got into the car, I was going for an interview with a recruiter, and this was the first time I had considered leaving being an agent, and I clicked random shuffle on a random playlist that wasn't even my playlist. It was like a suggested one. A song that came on was titled North Star.
Crazy.
And the way that Mark would accept that information is that it was just coincidence based off like a number, like, let's say, in terms of like what percentage it would have been possible that would be the one chosen. Yeah. And I would have done something previously like that in the past using my critical thinking that I learned from university. Like, what is your interpretation of signs? And if you're for making
I think
decisions?
That one is crazy. Like, I agree with Mark that, okay, it comes down to an element of luck at the end of the day, but you still pull this card, like, this is the one that came up.
Yeah.
And for me, I'd still accept that as a sign. I was like, yeah, I understand the probability, but like, it came on.
So this is what I said to Mark. I was just like, okay, if we break it down to its fundamentals and look at it rationally, probably statistically speaking, there was a likelihood that song was going to come up. Yes. But me looking at that as a sign and confirming that the thing that I'm doing is the right choice, does that belief system actually serve me more than me rationally looking at it and being like, oh, that's fucking statistics? Because if I choose the decision, and it aligns with me, and I use that as proof that I'm going in the right direction, it will reinforce the decision, and it'll be like, if things are going tough, it's just like, no, this was the sign. Like, this was the sign. I was on the right path. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Like, and do you see that as a benefit or a hindrance?
I think it's a benefit. Like, I think to a certain degree, I mean,
taking external factors to just rationalize your decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think taken to the extremes, it's negative. Obviously, I think everything taken to extremes can be negative. But I think maybe this is just one big justification of it, but I think there was utility in that being presented to me, and me looking at that as a sign is what I think so,
yeah, and I think no one can tell you what is and what isn't a sign. Like, do you know what I mean? It's something that you find comfort in seeing. It's like, it's fine. Like, I'm moving the right direction. And I think, like, if you see if you see it as a sign, you know yourself that you're doing what you're meant to do. Like,
yeah, because so many people can be caught in decision paralysis. It's just like, there's so many different decisions here. I don't know which one. None of them feel right enough for me to choose it. It's just like, which one am I supposed to choose? But it's just like, I have to choose one, regardless of which one it is. I potentially could have think that I chose the other one. But again, it's the information that I have at hand. I would always look back at this and reminisce about it. But the only way for me to have that hindsight is by making a fucking decision. And if you're faced with big decisions, it's, for me personally, it was, okay, what can I learn from this situation? What do I have to lose? And does this align with my future, with my current and future self?
Nothing's permanent.
Yeah.
Death is permanent. That's about it. Like, So I mean, if you were in it 6 months, you're like, okay, I actually don't enjoy this as much as I thought. It's too much responsibility. I want to go back to just focusing on myself. Grant, you just get an agent's role. So I mean, it's not the end of the world. Like,
That's what I.
and you're 6 months down the line with 6 months learning, 6 months experience, as you said, that no one can take away from you. That's cash in the bank.
Cash in the bank, 100%. And like that's what. And then I was listening to a podcast this week that said like you should know how to sell, lead, and build. Like those are like the 3 main buckets to fill if you like want to be a business person or entrepreneur. So like how to sell, like how to lead a team, and then how to build.
Do you think this job gives you sufficient sales experience? Like, because you can't force someone. Like you can't use sales tactics to make someone buy a fucking £4 million apartment. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas if you're going door to door, right, and it's something petty, you're selling fucking mugs, and you believe in your mug, like, and you have to convince this person to buy it. That's it. They never thought about this before. Like, here, if someone's come to you, you just need to find them the right option.
So I thought that too. Like obviously with leases, like you've got more practice being able to do that because it's larger volume. But again, you can't like necessarily convince someone. But within real estate, there's a load of mini sales within the sale.
Subjective hand done.
It's a sale for me to ask you to list your property with me. That's a sale.
Yeah, just a negotiation process of it all. Like,
yeah, here's the beginning of the sale. The sales cycle is the beginning is the initial point of contact, like prospecting, building rapport, and then the close is you accepting to give me your product or whatever, being able to buy my services, or you don't pay me. But anyways, the close of the sale is you listing the property with me.
It's crazy how it's so hard. It's so hard to sell. Like, you're basically selling a service that I'm providing to you for free. It's like, why aren't you buying this?
Because there's so many providers.
Yeah.
So many service providers.
I think you're right with that. Like, if you see it as the product you're selling isn't actually the apartment, the product you're selling is just getting it.
Yeah, and there's multiple sales within that. Like you could look at it, like anything can be treated as a sale. Like anything. Like I remember one time in Ireland getting caught with a ticket, like a parking ticket, and then the guy was walking away, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna have to negotiate my way in order to get off this ticket. Like that is negotiation, and that's a sale. Like I mean, if you look at it in the sales term, like sufficient amount of prospect and asking questions, building rapport, and then closing him in terms of not giving me the ticket. Like that's a sale. Like if we're looking at it, negotiation tactics, and there is a number of those within your life that you're not aware of. And the whole kind of sales idea is really strung out to be way more complicated than it needs to be.
I think it is and it isn't. Like,
but like all these people with like sales techniques, like specific ones. Like I understand the whole kind of broader sales things, but like micromanaging like what terminology and tonality you use and stuff like that. It's just
getting psychological with it. Like,
yeah, like I understand the utility to it for those who are really proficient in a sales industry like telecommunications, where you're closing, whatever. But like, I mean, if you don't know the fundamentals first, and
it's not going to matter if you use this word or this
exactly.
word. Like,
it doesn't matter if you use a question or does that make sense, or you know, your tonality. If you can't fucking
speak to a person,
speak to them and ask right questions. I feel like so many people get hung up on the closing tactics rather than the qualifying and prospecting tactics. But I
think that's interesting. Very interesting that you see. Obviously, you're actually selling yourself to the owner rather than selling an apartment to a client. Like,
yeah, and I mean, you could even look at any of the things within the industry as little mini sales. Like, I mean, agreeing for somebody to go out for a view and the whole negotiation and all that jazz. But yeah, the idea was that in order to be somebody, you should be able to learn how to sell, learn how to lead, and learn how to build. I know how to sell because I don't think it's that complicated. Like, yeah,
you got the fundamentals.
Like fundamentals in terms of building good relationships and being able to close, being able to lead. That's why I chose the job, to understand how to manage and lead people, because I have absolutely zero experience doing that. Even though I was a team leader within the other company, I wasn't really incentivized to do a lot of leadership kind of experience and work with people. And then build, that's the one that I don't know how to do. But
You think you don't?
I think I don't, but like,
How many
I mean,
little things?
build a business, but I know how to, like, I know how to build a podcast or build a like run club. And that's
Well,
what we
that's
were
a start,
speaking.
like.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I said to one of my clients who I was out in the run with me. I was like learning a lot about like building a community, like building a brand, building something that people
Find
pay
value
for in not with money, but with their time.
Mm. But even the fact of spotting a gap in the market is the first stage of building, like. So I mean, and we spotted the gap in the market for the run club, stage 1. Do you know? That obviously you can't build that if it's already saturated. And I think that's the most important thing, because if you can spot a sufficient gap in the market for something, that's I would say the basis of getting any business right.
Yeah, 100%. Did we spot a gap in the market? Like, I'm trying to think back at the
100%, man. We wanted something social where you could meet people on a non-transactional basis, and we couldn't find it.
Yeah, and we were saying how much run clubs were blowing up.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Bob the Builder over there. So, enough work, man. Tell us about the marathon. Tell everyone else about the marathon, because I've heard enough of it, but tell everyone else.
Yeah,
How was it? It's a big achievement.
It was good, man. It was good.
Bro, you can't stop talking about it now.
I've spoke about it so much, and I don't like. Yeah, people keep asking me about it, like, or whatever, and the way that I view it is just another stepping stone in order towards the person that I want to be. Like, it's not like the end goal. It's not like the finish line. It's not like I got a lot of post-marathon blues or whatever. It's like, okay, this is just another stepping stone. It's not like I'm going to be running like 200 kilometers. But anyways, it's just another stepping stone, another tick in the box. It's another goal within bigger goals.
How did it feel achieving it? Because obviously, excuse me, on previous podcasts, you spoke about not being able to, when you achieve something, not being able to sit back and see it as an achievement. Like, because you're always like, okay, so you ran it in 3:44.
Yeah.
3:44. You spoke about, like, if that was the old you, like, why the fuck couldn't I have done it in 3:30? Like,
yeah, true.
So when you finished it, were you satisfied? Not satisfied, but were you content? Could you sit back and be like, I'm happy with this achievement?
Yeah. So when I just said, just before you said that it's just another stepping stone, I was even careful with me saying that to Mark the day before, because I was just like, I don't want to take away from the fact that this is actually an achievement. Me just calling it another stepping stone, I don't want to be so blasé about it and just be like, okay, this isn't really that important. So I did. Like, I mean, I understand that it's a big achievement. I understand that I gave it my best. There's obviously things that I would improve going forward for the next one, but yeah, I literally just left it all out there. Like, and I found it hard to enjoy the feeling of finishing it afterwards because I was in so much fucking pain. It's so weird. But I took the time to kind of just, as we were walking away from the event, like, I just stood, just kind of looked at everything, just took a deep breath and just like stayed as present as possible.
I think it's better, sorry if I cut you off there, I think it's better being able to, like, you see, I couldn't enjoy it then because I just gave it everything, rather than be like, oh, I enjoyed toddling across the finish line because I didn't leave everyone out on the track.
Yeah.
Looking back, at least you can be like, oh, I gave it everything. Like,
oh man, I absolutely gave it everything. Like, and
Davis Clark job.
No, not Davis Clark. I didn't shit the dogs. But yeah, like, it's weird because I wasn't in that much pain. But I mean, the second I stopped running, the second I finished the race, maybe that could have been the fact that I potentially could have been dehydrated because my water bottle burst. But, oh man, 5k in, because like I didn't want to stop. And
your camel bag?
No, I didn't wear that, so I had like 2 bottles here, and then I grabbed it after the 5k mark because I was going to hydrate like every 25 minutes, and then went to take a sip of it, and the whole thing just exploded in my face. And I just laughed and just threw it aside, and I was like, yeah, fuck, you're gonna fucking find out, like. But yeah, I kind of was just like, yeah, I didn't really want to slow down on the way because like the hydration stations were fucking mayhem.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it was weird how much in pain I was afterwards. And I was like, okay, that's just a testament that I gave it all, and I paced it well. Like, I mean, I paced it well. Obviously I slowed down with the last 5K. It felt like I was
Dying.
working the same amount, but I was getting less out of it. But like up to like the 35K mark, like I was just breezing past at the pace that I had set and even beating it. But man, the memory that will stick with me is going across like the half marathon part. And me and Mark had set out before I started running. Mark is my twin. I assume everybody knows that, but he was there at the race. So was my younger brother. But
The better looking twin, by the way.
Oh,
got you, Mark.
We had set out before the race. I had no phone obviously with me. I was like, okay, I need to meet you here, like exactly here. And I set off, like not knowing if I was going to see him, not really knowing. Like I trusted that he was going to get there, but then just coming up to the half marathon point, because I was going to meet him and he was just going to top me up on water, give me 2 Gatorades to replace the water that I had for the first half of the marathon. And coming up to the half marathon point and then seeing him just wave at me, and then him running alongside me for like 500 meters or whatever, just chatting me through the paces, like what I'm hitting, if I'm on my time, like, and just asking me how I was or whatever, and him running beside me, like, it was so fucking cool.
Get emotional.
I didn't, man, to be honest, and
But he wasn't fit for it.
it wasn't the task at hand. Like, he said that he got quite emotional when he saw me running off, because he has invested so much time into it, because he's been helping me just get out running from literally 0 kilometers back in October to a marathon. So usually before other races, like, I got quite emotional just before I set off. But this time, not really, to be honest, man. I was so focused. But at the finish line, it was so nice. Just coming around the last corner and just hearing him just let out a scream, like, and hearing my younger brother as well. And then afterwards, I was in so much pain to even be emotional. But yeah,
What do you listen to for? Podcasts or tunes?
Are you mad? Podcasts?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at you, bro.
Bro, a marathon with podcasts. I'm not that bad.
I could see you doing it.
No, I'd perfectly curated a marathon
perfect
playlist.
BPM for
Yeah, it was a build up. To begin with, it was just like actual like slow songs, like whatever, like bit of Nick Mulvey in there, man.
Oh,
I was
nice.
just like setting off.
And that didn't get you emotional.
No, it didn't. You'd be surprised, man. It doesn't take a lot, but it apparently did that day. And then my younger brother is big into like the house and techno scene, so I was just like, hit me with like the filthiest
Give
tunes.
me the heaviest ones you've got.
The heaviest ones you got. So he added to that. So it felt like both my brothers had like their say and their input into the marathon.
Yeah.
So his stuff came on towards the end. But some of his songs are so heavy that I had to skip them because they were actually hurting my head when I was running. I was like, I don't need my head hurting and my legs hurting here.
Yeah.
Like. But yeah, overall, man, it was really, really enjoyable. Like, I mean, I would recommend anybody to do it. And it's weird. I mean, a marathon is the only place where the professionals and the amateurs can both race together. Like,
yeah. How did it feel like running with the amateurs?
Oh, I love you, bro. Yeah, it was weird. They put me, you have to self-seed like your time, like where you're starting, and they put me back. It was annoying. I must have put in the wrong fucking time, but they put me way back. It was annoying.
You did that on purpose. You could run past the slower people taking souls.
No, because you don't want to be like running past a lot of people to begin with, because like you're using precious energy sidestepping people and stuff. But yeah, it was cool. It was cool, man. It was, yeah, I was impressed with myself. Like, I really was surprised. I mean, if you told me that I would be able to run at 5:18 kilometers for like 3 hours 45 minutes for 42 kilometers back in COVID when I was doing my 5Ks, I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely, man. Fair play. It's a massive achievement. That's it, I suppose. The main thing that you can see the achievement that it is, like.
yeah, but I don't want to blow my own trumpet too much.
Yeah, but it's just
and my automatic knee-jerk response is just like, yeah, but if anybody just followed the training program I was given for 3 months, they'd be able.
But the marathon, you hear some people saying the marathon's not the hard bit, like, it's the training for the marathon. Like, how many marathons in total did you do okay, not consecutively, but kilometers wise leading
Yeah.
up to it. Like, it's getting up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock on a Sunday morning to go and run for 3.5 hours in the fucking heat. That's the tough bit. Like.
I enjoyed that, man. I got a sense of accomplishment after that. Like, I never understand people who are like, oh yeah, you know, I didn't even train for that marathon. I just went out and did it. It's just like,
there's no achievement in
there's
that.
no, like, I mean, why are you boasting about not doing the hard work?
Yeah.
It's just like turning up to an exam being like, oh yeah, I didn't even study for it. You not studying for it, you not training for it is the easy thing. Like, it's easier not to do it and then just do it because you'll probably get through it. It's 4 hours of pain. You might be able to do it. The hard thing is the weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of sacrifice and dedication and hard fucking running that you have to do or whatever in order to
4,000 calories and 60 grams of carbs on a Saturday. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the hard part. But man, less about me. How are you?
Good, but I do want to go back on one question.
Okay.
Not from before the marathon. At any stage between you taking the interview and now you accepting the job, did you go back and think, oh, I've made the wrong decision, or I'm not sure this is the path I should be on? Did it pop into your mind at any stage? Like,
once.
When?
Once. My first week, I was just absolutely fighting fires because, as you can imagine, a load of agents who were doing sales and leasing being told that they specifically have to do leasing now. Agents and their egos are pretty precious, and it was really tough conversations to have, and it was literally trial by fire. And there was a day where I was just like, a split second where I was just like, what the fuck have I actually done here? I was coming home shattered, man. Like, you saw me. I was in bits. It was like the most tired I have been. It's the hardest work week of my entire life.
Huh.
Easily.
Worse than changing tires.
Yeah, easily, because it was just different. It was mentally just like 10, 11, 12 hours straight of just reactive mode. And I hate being reactive. I hate fighting fires. I hate not feeling like I have control of the actions that I take.
This doesn't fit into my schedule. What am I going to do? Yeah. Exactly.
And I was afraid that because I was so structured and so scheduled and I liked my control, that if that was taken away from me, that I'd go into meltdown. But I didn't really lean on it like a crutch. And what I'm most happy and proud about is, like, in those moments where you're really reactive, where you feel like you're just not really dictating what you do, you're just reacting to the external environment. My default setting was somebody and something that I was proud of, if that makes sense. So, like, my default, like the person who I am in reactive mode, I'm happy with. Like, it wasn't like I led with anger. It wasn't like that I lashed out. It wasn't like that I wasn't living true to myself. It's like, even when I'm kind of operating on, like, unconsciously, like, it was in line with my future self.
I love that, man.
I was proud of that.
Like, I like working under that, just like bat, like just fighting fires. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I feel the day just goes so quick.
To an extent.
And it depends on the role too. Like, when they're not your fucking fires to put out, it's obviously a lot more frustrating. And I understand that. Like, my previous job was a lot like that, just one problem to the next. But I love that, just being like, okay, problem fixed, next. You know, rather than sitting around and be like, okay, I have to call now for an hour and a half. It's just like, give me another problem and let me fix it.
That's an interesting one, man. Like, because they're completely different things in terms of, because as an agent, you're not fighting a lot of fires. And I understand, like you, that I enjoy that as well. Like, when I close multiple deals per month, it just felt like, okay, I didn't even have to decide. I didn't have to use willpower to knuckle down and do a load of calls. It was just like, I was reacting just flat out.
What did you do when it popped into your head? What was the train of thought? Like, how'd you get yourself back on track? What'd you tell yourself? Into the thick of it.
What did I tell myself? It was only a split second, and then the thought kind of went away. But I don't want to give advice of what somebody should do, but I just want to kind of give
what you did.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I just got over it really quickly. I'm not sure what the thought was. Maybe it could have been like, yeah, I don't even want to guess because I don't think it would.
Yeah, well, I think the fact that obviously it came into your head for a split second and it's gone again, you already knew that.
Yeah, it wasn't
doesn't
like
serve me. Like,
it wasn't like a few hours of me like, oh fuck, because I'd say the knee jerk was just like, yeah, but now you know it. Like,
yeah, just someone else gives you another problem. You're like, oh shit.
yeah, but like it's just like, even if this isn't for me, like I know that it would, like me choosing to do the thing what gives me the understanding that it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. And then the next, yeah, so I've got a team of agents trying to work with them on a one-to-one basis and try and be the manager, and that I wish I try and be the manager that I would want.
Yeah, and I think how you're doing it's very admirable and very insightful. Like the fact that you're just basically taking any personal coaching, shout out to Mark and Paddy again, like using their roadmap for, okay, a 12-week plan for someone's mental health or someone's physical fitness, and just applying that to being an agent. Like I think that's, I think it's so cool that it fits. It really shows the definition of a business athlete. Like it's like, you're here, you have to work at efficiency, you have to be able to get to where you want to do. There's things in the way, and what are they? I think that's so cool. I think it's such a good way of doing things.
Yeah, I sat in, I think it was one morning, and I was supposed to do my check-in with Mark for the week. And I was like, oh shit, I've got an idea. And I'm just going to execute on this really quickly and find out what happens.
It's good because you don't get them very often.
I've got ideas.
Just ideas in general.
Ideas, most of them bad. But yeah, I was just like, what if I just map out a 12-week roadmap for these, and then every single week just check in with them on a one-to-one basis, recap what went well last week and what are the plans in place and the action steps for this week.
Because that's what you should be doing, really. That's like, and that's what Dean, our manager, tries to do as well, is those one-to-ones. But when it's not structured, as in a check-in, like a list of problems you had, like where you want to be in 12 weeks and all the rest, it's a bit up in the air. Like,
yeah, because one-to-ones are like, let's sit down for an hour once a month or less every 2 months and just speak about whatever, and then let's not actually implement any of it. Like, rather, like, let's meet on this specific time every single week. You know that I'm going to be here for you, only for you, based off the goals that you set yourself, not the KPIs that I fucking assigned to you. And let's work to where you need to be. So then, and then the funny thing about this is that if you set yourself goals, let's say you set yourself goals, and then my job is to keep you aligned with those goals, and you set behaviors and habits in order to get those goals, but then you don't do those behaviors and habits, all I have to do is call you out on it.
Yeah.
And it's not like me forcing what I think is the right way upon you. It's just like, well, you told me this. Yeah. You told me that you wanted to do this, this, and this, but you're not doing any of it.
And this isn't coming from a place of power that I can tell you what to do. It's me looking out for you. Like, this is just me trying to make you be accountable of what you said you do. Like,
I think that could be the biggest part of it. I think that's actually the biggest part of it, to be honest. I think that for me, for doing those one-to-ones is kind of like, yeah, well, these are the habits that you told me that you should do. Why aren't, like,
I'm trying to help, like,
yeah,
I'm just trying to help you do them.
Why aren't you doing them? Like,
yeah,
like, you're only fooling yourself here.
And I think you do need someone to call you out on it. More than we spoke about, like, you need someone who's in your corner to call you out on something for you to see it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can be doing something that, I know I should be doing this, but it's easy to fucking trick yourself or say whatever. And it's easy for someone above your manager to call you out and, fuck him, like. But when it's someone that's in your corner, like, bro, like, come on, this isn't on. Like, you said you'd be doing this. Why aren't you doing it? Like,
yeah.
I think that's what really sticks. You know, that lands home.
Yeah, like, why bother? Like, why are you bothering setting these goals?
Yeah,
why you bother? You're not staying true to your word here.
Yeah, I don't mind you wasting my time because I'm getting paid one way or the other, buddy. But, like, you're wasting your own. Do you know?
It makes me realize that I wish there was more of that kind of, like, I only have like 8 agents or 9 agents, but like there's so many people else in the room that aren't getting those like specific tailored mentorship and coaching and whatever. Like, it's definitely something that should be implemented more. But I almost pitched it to them, like the people who were in my kind of team, being like, look, like after this, like whatever, like don't look at this as like a step back. Don't look at this as like, this is a hit to my ego. You could actually be in a better position than a lot of the agents out there, because some of those agents out there, you're actually doing better already, but for some reason you were chose to be in this group instead of them. They're going to suffer in silence. You're not. You've got one-to-ones.
Absolutely.
Coaching.
And from your point of view, you've got a test subject and you've got a control.
Yeah.
So, well, let's see how this does.
Test, man, testing, just testing. And that's what I'm enjoying from it, like just testing ideas. And I'm lucky that they gave me the freedom in order to test my ideas. Like they said, just make this your own. And at the start, I was just like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I would rather be able to test and make things myself than for somebody to be like, this is what you have to do. This is the prescribed material. You just have to be our fucking little hand puppet. Like,
yeah, okay, and I get there's learning from that. You learn the way they want to teach, but like that could be the wrong way of learning things. Do you know what I mean? And there's still learning within that, because okay, if I learn this is how you shouldn't fucking do it, at least I know, okay, that's ruled out. Go another way. And I've learned that in the past. Like it's like, okay, I'm not learning the information I want to know, but I'm learning what I definitely shouldn't do. But at least with your way of doing things, you can, as you said, test, see what works, and learn for yourself. Learn in the most efficient way. Like okay, this didn't work, change.
And like, none of them are PAM agents. Now, one of them is a PAM agent.
Lucky guy.
And plans to be. Bro, like I was sitting and like I was pulling out my hair, being like, I wish somebody could understand the opportunity that I'm about to put on their lap.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, if somebody can commit everything to me, commit themselves to like giving it a shot for this 12-week period and take what I'm given here, that they can really, really fucking just hop, skip and jump over like
Everybody.
so many other brokers. And yeah, like he took that opportunity and he's a serious guy, and he's got that ability to learn, and he's really, really sharp in terms of getting stuff quickly. We're just trying to get new brokers. Shout out if anybody's listening to this and you want to be one-to-one mentored by me, give me a shout. But man, like I would love to have, my idea would be to have a team of 100% committed agents.
Yeah.
Like the kind of agents that would be listening to this, eager to learn. Like are the kind of people who go
you
to
learn from this, do you?
Who are the kind of people who go to the run club, who are interested in doing difficult, challenging things, and build a team of just like, dare I say, like-minded individuals, but a group of fucking guys who will just absolutely go after it. And
the
together,
BF cult.
And together we will do so much better than if we're all individually by ourselves in different other companies.
I think that's what so many real estate companies are missing.
Yeah.
Everyone in there doing their own thing. Okay, you can be there from 9 to 5, but if everyone's working in different directions, what the fuck's the point of having a team? Like, you're a freelance agent, do you know? So I think that, system. Yeah, man, I wish you all the best of luck. I know you'll make it work, that's for sure. Because you'll whip yourself until you do.
Figuratively.
Well, I used to think so.
Shut up. Shut up, man. People are going to think I'm fucked. Yeah, by hell or high water. Yeah.
That's been it, man. You've had a more productive time off or from the podcast anyway than I have. I went home for a wedding night and I drank for quite some time. Other than that, really, I've been chilling.
I don't know, bro. You've been making moves in your own regards.
Yeah, true. Nothing to do with real estate or new jobs, nothing though.
Let's see.
Pending.
But yeah, man.
It's right announced, Brian, that we've missed. I think that's been kind of a wrap up of the last 5 weeks, bro. It just went so quick.
I know, a wrap up of the last 5 weeks.
Like the timeline was literally like, okay, we record some podcasts. No, MacBook got broken. It's like, okay, can't do it this week. We'll make sure to get it fixed next week. MacBook got sent away. Can't fix it. Fuck. That's 2 weeks, right? Then traveling. That's 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Then new job, 5 weeks. And finally, we got the new MacBook set up.
Yeah, true.
After 5 weeks. Like,
it's not like we didn't have time, but it just wasn't a priority.
And it wasn't ideal. The situation was not ideal. Like, yeah. But here we are, we're back. Maybe people enjoyed a break.
Maybe they did, man. Maybe they didn't, maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's it.
It's pretty much it, to be fair. That is pretty much it.
So yeah, if anybody's listening to this little recap, if you're actually still even a listener of this podcast and you haven't fucked
Is that
off
still a
somewhere
thing? Is it? I had a few people say it to me the last like week or so. It's like, what's
Really?
the story? Yeah, I was just like, please, just technical issues.
Yeah, but yeah, same with me, man. Same with me. Shows it to people who are listening, I suppose, which is always
Always nice to hear.
nice to hear. So we do respect everybody who's been listening, and we do appreciate every single one of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Run Club this morning.
Run
Solid
Club was
every single
huge.
week.
Man,
20
if you're
people.
listening to this and you're in Dubai and you're not coming to the Run Club, come on.
Clowns. If you're not there, clown.
Come on. Man, today was class. There was like, what, 20 people?
20 people. And the thing about it is, like, I think, okay, a lot of people come to see what it's like, and they mightn't come back for a couple of weeks and they come back or whatever. But the group that we have that just keep coming are all our age, like,
Yeah.
range between 22 to 26, really. And that's like our staple group. What are you laughing at? Tommy acts like a 26-year-old. I forget that Tommy's older than 26.
Bro, he better not be listening to this. But yeah, I know what you mean. There was definitely a range of like similar age today, and it felt like I was like, just a load of people our age.
Yeah,
like,
it's nice. It's
I mean,
pretty
they're
cool.
not out drinking. There's actually people socializing and actually interested in going for a run, and it's good to see that people who had never ran before a few weeks ago are actually running. Like, and even Leon going for 2 runs this week.
Yeah,
it's just like, okay, these people started when they didn't know how to run, and they started from the basics. You won't be left alone regardless. I mean, if it's your first week, there will still be someone with you. If you're stopping and starting,
Yeah.
I will stop and start with you.
and shout out to my guy Will this week. First weekend, he didn't drink because he wanted to run better on a Saturday morning. So hats off, Will. To be fair, and he kept up with the top of the group today. So fair play to him. Improvements.
Class. I really enjoyed today, man.
That's good. And that cafe, we go to
Surf
Surf
House.
House. So fucking chill.
And it was sick, actually, to be fair, that we started even earlier than usual, 6:30, and there was still massive crew there.
Yeah. Right, wrap this up before we bore any more people.
Wrap this up. But yeah,
Thanks everyone for listening. As
thank
always,
you
we
everyone for
appreciate
listening.
it.
Thank you, Liam, for being here.
Thank you, Brian, for being here.
It's nice to be back, man.
Yeah, well, it's the Brian show this week, just how he likes
It's
it.
the Liam show.
He gave me this list of questions that you
It's
have
gonna
to ask.
be the Liam show next week. You're gonna be grilled upon.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, wrap it up. Let's get some sun, Brian.
Glad.